Just let me hear some of that rock and roll music, any old way you choose it.
Hello, this is Katie with Vintage and Vinyl, and I'll be spinning some rockin' 50s records every week here on my channel, as well as sharing some cool Coca-Cola collectibles and other neat vintage finds. Stay tuned! Hey guys, this is Katie with Vintage and Vinyl, back with another great video for you today. In this video, I am talking all about Broadway show tunes. I have a huge collection of musicals on vinyl, and I thought it would be so much fun to share this with you because I've been getting a lot of requests for this. A lot of you in the community, vinyl and vintage, have been really excited to see this because you guys like the Broadway musicals as well, and I do too. I'm a big theater nerd, and I think this would be really fun to show. Now, I have a stack of about 30 albums, and I'm going to try to go through them rather quickly because I've already recorded this video twice, and it ended up being an hour long, and YouTube was having trouble processing the video. So I will limit my commentary on each record. I will not announce who's in the cast and all of that. If you guys would like to look that up, I will link the Playbill website down below and a few other tools if you want to delve further into each of these albums. I will be posting some of these on Instagram with further information if you're interested in that and you want to know more about who won the Tony Award and all of that good stuff. I'll share more details on Instagram, but it won't work for this video. So I can't wait to show you what I've got. I've got some fun things. I think you guys are going to like it. Now, I will preface this by saying I'm a huge Andrew Lloyd Webber fan, and of course, the one musical I love most I don't have on vinyl, so I'm still looking for Phantom of the Opera. I hope I get that someday. I've never seen it in one of our local record stores, so I am on the hunt for that because I do love Phantom of the Opera, but there's a lot of Andrew Lloyd Webber here, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. So let's jump in and get our toes a-tapping. So the first vinyl that I want to share is a really fun one. Of course, I'm a huge Rocky Horror Picture Show fan. Rocky Horror Picture Show started as a musical, actually in London, in a theater up above a bowling alley, a small theater, and it really wasn't a big hit. And then it became a movie, and it was a midnight showing at many theaters, and again, still wasn't very successful until people started dressing up and throwing lines back at the screen and bringing props, and then it really became a cult classic and took off. So this is the movie version. I don't have the original Broadway cast on vinyl. I usually try to get original Broadway casts if I can. You do have to be careful though when you're looking for Broadway casts, and they do say they're original. You have to figure out which original cast, because there are so many different revivals of different musicals. So if you want the true original, you do have to do some research and digging on that. And there are several websites I'll link down below that will help you if you really want to get that specific. But this is a great collector's vinyl. This is one that I don't play very often because I actually have this on red vinyl, and it sounds way better. This is a picture disc. Picture discs don't always sound the best because they're just a thin layer of vinyl sandwiched between basically a piece of paper. And this one's really neat to have. It is a limited edition. They only made, I believe, 6,000 or so copies of this. So if you guys see this, if you're reselling vinyl or you're collecting for a good price, I tell you, it is worth picking up. And this is just really fun to have. So this is a Rocky Horror Picture Show picture disc. It's got Frankenfurter on both sides, which is really fun. I love this. Note also how I'm holding the vinyl. I'm holding it on the edges. I'm not grabbing it with my fingers in the middle because that's going to get all the dirt and debris from my fingers on the vinyl, and I don't want that. So just be careful when you're holding and showing vinyl that you don't get your dirty fingers on the vinyl itself. That's a good tip for all of you newbies that are getting into vinyl. So I really love this. This is great. It's got all of the hit songs on this, really fantastic. I will highlight my favorite songs as we go along on each record. I can't name all the songs because we'd be here for 3 or 4 hours, but of course one of my favorite songs in Rocky Horror Picture Show is Hot Patootie Bless My Soul, and of course I love Damn It Janet, and I love Sweet Transvestite and Time Warp and many others. I've been to many a showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show, all dressed up as Columbia. I love throwing the props and calling back lines and learning new lines. It's just so much fun. It's a great experience if you haven't gone. And hopefully one day I'll get to see this on Broadway sometime. That's wonderful. Now the next album I'm going to share is Grease. I love Grease. This is the original Broadway cast. This is not the Grease that's the movie version. There are two versions on vinyl. This is the original one. You don't see this very often. You see the movie one quite a bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's got John Travolta and, of course, all the famous folks from the movie, but I really like this one. Now, my copy has seen better days, so I am looking to get an upgrade at some point because I have wore this vinyl out. It is just a great musical. Grease is the musical that I did my senior year in high school. I was stage manager for it, so it always is going to have a special place in my heart. Plus, I love the inspiration from the 50s. There are so many songs in here that actually were written based off of real 50s songs, which I think is wonderful, like Eddie My Love, and of course We Go Together. Now, it's funny, I have to tell a little story about the song Grease Lightning. If you listen to the song Grease Lightning and you listen to it closely, you will notice that Grease Lightning isn't really about a car. It's actually much dirtier than that, and because I went to a Catholic high school, we had to literally change half of the words in that song because our principal would not let us do that song because they thought some of the words were too vulgar to actually say on stage. So we couldn't have that, and we couldn't have the leather pantsuit at the end. That was a little bit too risque, so we had to change some things around. But it was still so much fun doing Grease. What a great musical, I feel like, to end on your senior year. So I was really glad I got to be a part of that. So that was fun. Now, I've seen Grease on stage, and it is phenomenal. It's just so much fun to see. So if you ever get a chance to see it, I highly recommend it. Another great musical that I got to see on stage is A Chorus Line. Now, I love A Chorus Line. It is a musical you have to be in the mood to listen to because it is rather dark at times, but I love A Chorus Line. It comes here quite a bit. They do one night kind of revival showings of it from time to time here at our big theater in Jacksonville, and I have a season subscription to the theater, so I'm really hoping to go back next year. I haven't gotten to go at all this year, and I was really banking on getting to see Hamilton, but hopefully I can redeem my tickets for next year when it comes back, because I am so looking forward to that. This is A Chorus Line. It is fantastic. This is the original Broadway cast recording from New York, which is wonderful. I, again, am not going to spend too much time talking about each of the actors and that kind of thing, but I do want to point out that this is music by Marvin Hamlisch, of course, and so many others, book by James Kirkwood and Nicholas Dante. Great people that have written and composed this musical. Chorus Line is fantastic. This is a double gatefold, so it does open up. It's got some great graphics. It's a double LP, so it has two LPs in the set, which is wonderful. Really love this, and I think that it's a great record to have. So for all of you guys at home who are going, okay, I see all these great musicals, but how do I get these? Well, there are several ways you can get these. I obviously really want to support the local record stores best I can. I go out to our local record stores and I support them as much as I can. And a lot of times I will find some of these great musicals in the dollar bin because I don't think that they sell as well as other vinyl, at least in our area. So I do get those from the dollar bin, and usually they're in really good shape. So don't be afraid to shop the dollar bin, because it's not just because something's wrong with the album. Sometimes it's just because it doesn't sell. So you'd be surprised what you find in there. I also go to antique stores. Antique stores are a great place to find all these old Broadway musicals. There's lots of them in antique stores. You can usually get a pretty good price. I also highly recommend Discogs. Now, Discogs is like an eBay and a Wikipedia for sellers. So you can go on there, you can type in your matrix number, that's the number engraved in the dead wax on the vinyl that gives you all kinds of information about the record itself, what press it is. Basically, that's like an edition of a book. If you think of it that way, it's like first edition, second edition, but for records, first press, second press. And first presses typically do sound better because they are closest to the original mother and lacquer. So that gets more complicated, and I'll have to do another video on that. But that's typically why people like first presses versus second presses. Also, the stampers haven't worn out yet, and there's a whole complex explaining that I can do on that, but we'll save that for another video. But basically, that is some things that you need to know when you're looking for them. So Discogs is a great place to use as a wealth of information if you're a reseller or someone in the vinyl community that's wanting to look up your record. You can use that to look up the matrix number and find out more about your record. You can also buy on there, so you want to make sure, of course, like with any online platform, that you do check out the seller. Look at the ratings, make sure they don't have low ratings. I've heard of people getting scammed and not getting their money back. So you do want to be careful, of course, like you do on eBay or any place you buy. But I've bought many a record from Discogs, and it's really been a great experience. So check out Discogs if you can't find anything at your local record stores. Of course, eBay as well is available to you, and there's also good records. Of course, with that, you do want to make sure you're getting a record in good condition. I always check the grade of the record. So if you are listing a record and you are a reseller, make sure you include not only the matrix number, but the grade, because people who are buying really are looking for that. The grading system basically goes from fair and poor to basically mint. And fair and poor has warps and scratches and issues, and of course mint is going to be almost a clean, perfect copy. And that's important because noise is the enemy of vinyl. So when you're talking vinyl and you've got scratches and gouges, it's really going to not play very well, and that's just going to it's going to inhibit your listening experience. It's not going to enhance it, and you don't want that. So definitely make sure you're getting a good grade. I like to buy VG Plus or higher, and I only buy VG Plus, which is very good plus, if it's a record that's really, really hard to find, like some of these old 50s vinyls are getting really tough to find nowadays. And so I do go down a couple of grades for those because it's just, you're not going to find anything better. But if you can, highly recommend getting, of course, excellent minus to mint plus or mint. That's really going to be your best bet in the grading system, and always look for that when you're shopping online. Okay guys, so hopefully that helps you a little bit with buying some of these records, and I hope you find some really, really cool Broadway show tunes out there. There's lots, and I've got more coming up for you. So this is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This is not the picture disc. This is the movie version, of course, with Tim Curry, Barry Bostwick, Patricia Quinn, Meatloaf, Richard O'Brien, the whole cast, and this is just great. It is on the red vinyl. This is the one you're going to see out there everywhere. I mean, this is just, you're going to find this. It's a dime a dozen. It's very easy to get. Great copy if you don't want to play the picture disc, which I don't recommend because it doesn't sound that great. The picture disc is just more for collecting and kind of something fun to display at Halloween. But I definitely really recommend getting this if you love Rocky Horror Picture Show like I do. Now, I am a big Andrew Lloyd Webber fan, and of course I love Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, so I've got this. I've never seen this on Broadway or on stage. I would love to. It hasn't come back here in years and years, but this is fantastic. It's got a cool cover, double gatefold here. It's just a 1 LP vinyl, but I love that this opens up and you've got that cool image on the inside. Of course, Andrew Lloyd Webber, very famous for this, and Tim Rice, who you just can't go wrong with, so I love that. I'm trying to keep this video a little bit shorter, so if there's a few albums I don't mention my favorite songs, I'm sorry about that, but I will show them up close on my Instagram, vintage_and_vinyl, so I'll link that down below. Now I've got another musical here. Now this is one that's not quite as popular as some of the others I've shown, and probably most of you don't know about this. This is the original Broadway cast of I Do, I Do, which is a really fun musical, and it spans a lot of time. It spans from the 1800s, I think, to 1945, so it follows this couple, and it's just really fun. This is on RCA Victor. And this is a Dynagroove record, which I'll do a whole video on at some point, but this is really fun. And of course, one of my favorite songs is When the Kids Get Married. And of course, I Love My Wife and My Cup Runneth Over. And there's just so many good songs on this. So I really like this musical. And if you haven't heard of it, definitely go look it up. The book and lyrics are by Tom Jones, and the music is by Harvey Schmidt. And this is just really fun. One you don't see very often, but it's a great pickup. Of course, I also have the most popular and famed Camelot. This is Richard Burton and Julie Andrews and Robert Goulet. And Julie Andrews just has a fantastic voice. The books and lyrics are Alan J. Lerner and Frederick Lowe. And I believe they're the same people that wrote My Fair Lady and a few other musicals, very famous as well. And of course, I love Camelot, and Parade is a good song, and Guinevere, I just love that. So Camelot is fantastic. And of course, more hits coming up for you. I've got Hello Dolly. Now, Hello Dolly is just a lot of fun, and I'm sure a lot of you guys might have done this in high school. This is the original Broadway cast. It's got David Merrick, presents Carol Channing, and the new musical comedy, Hello Dolly. Let's see who the book and lyrics, yes, Michael Stewart and Jerry Herman, that is who wrote the book, and then who wrote the lyrics. This is fantastic. It's based on Matchmaker by Thornton Wilder. This is another RCA Dynagroove record. It is a double gatefold, so it does open up. You've got some really interesting things here on the gatefold. I love reading about the cast and the musical while I'm listening to the musical. I just think that's really fun. This is just a great stereo record that I picked up for a couple of dollars. And then, of course, I've got Funny Girl, which was featured in Glee. If you remember the show Glee, they did some excerpts of Funny Girl, which I love. This is the original soundtrack recording of Funny Girl. This is not the Broadway version. This is Columbia Pictures, of course. It's got William Wyler, Ray Stark production. It's Barbara Streisand, which we all know, and Omar Sharif, which is fantastic. Love this. And of course, one of my favorite songs is Don't Rain on My Parade. And I love Sadie Sadie, and I love Funny Girl. I mean, there's just lots of good songs on this. Highly recommend if you haven't heard of it, which I'm really surprised if you haven't, because Funny Girl is just so famous. But this is just really a wonderful, wonderful record. So Funny Girl is great. And again, I picked all of these up for around $2 to $3. There is one I will show you that I paid a little bit more for, but I'll explain why when we get to that record. The next record is one that, I'll be honest, I am not the biggest fan of The Wiz. I have seen it several times. NBC, Fox, those two broadcasting networks do live musicals, which I really look forward to every year and I think are fantastic. But when NBC did The Wiz, I have to be honest, I just came away from it feeling kind of let down. I don't think that they did a very good job. And the music for The Wiz, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it doesn't stick with you. One of the beauties, I think, of the beauty of theater really is that when you come away from a show, there's always something that lingers and sticks with you in your mind. Whether it be a song that's just really catchy, or an emotion or a feeling or something you connected with. And to me, The Wiz just does not do it for me. I don't come away singing anything that sticks with me, and I don't really think that the musical is all that great compared to the original Wizard of Oz, which is what this is based off of. But for $1, I had to pick it up because, again, it is The Wiz and it's very, very classic. So this is starring, the book is by William F. Brown, and the music and lyrics are by Charlie Smalls, starring Tiger Haynes, Ted Ross, and Hilton Battle. This is just really a great, album to have for $1. It's in great shape. This won 7 Tony Awards, including Best Musical, so there's some really good, of course, backing behind this. It just wasn't for me, but I do want to give it another chance. Hopefully it will come to Jacksonville and I can see it on stage. Now, the year after I left high school, I graduated high school, the musical that they chose to do for that year was Godspell, and Godspell is just such a classic. I think a lot of people did that in high school, and this is a musical based upon the Gospel of St. Matthew, of course, and this is just a fantastic Broadway show. Now notice this album has a little bit of a nick here. It looks like a cutout, and when you see albums like this, there's a reason for that. That is because there were so many pressed that the record stores couldn't sell them all, and so the ones that didn't sell got sent back to the record plants, the pressing plants, or the labels, and they would go and make this kind of notch in it, and then they would redistribute it back out to the record stores, and these kinds of things would end up in the dollar bin. So if you ever see that, that's just the reason why there's notches taken out of records, sometimes on the side, sometimes on the top, but I just thought I'd point that out. Of course, some of my favorite songs are All Good Gifts, Light of the World. I love We Beseech Thee. I mean, there's just a lot of good songs from Godspell, and it's just a old classic that you can't go wrong with. So I've got Godspell. I also have Mac and Mabel, which is a really interesting show. If you've never heard of it, it definitely was up for some Tony Awards. It's a great show. Really, really love this. I got it again for like $2 or $3. This is from 1974. And let's see who did the music and lyrics. Music and lyrics by Jerry Herman. And it's published, let's see, yes, Sid Feller produced the record. So there's lots of great things on here. If you haven't heard this, definitely recommend it. I love My Heart Leaps Up, and I Want to Make the World Laugh. So this is fun. Great, great pickup. I also love My Fair Lady. There's a big connection with My Fair Lady and my family. I've been a My Fair Lady fan pretty much all of my life because my grandparents would play this all the time, and it just really became one of my favorite musicals. And I've had the opportunity to see this several times on the stage, and I just every time love it, love it, love it. So this is the movie version. This is Julie Andrews and Rex Harrison, and this is just so great. So the music and lyrics are by Allard J. Linner, and then Frederick Lowe is the music. Of course, we've talked about that. They did a few other musicals I've already shown, and this is just a fantastic production. Love Julie Andrews. She again just has that voice that is just amazing. One of my favorite songs is Wouldn't It Be Lovely? I love With a Little Bit of Luck, of course, is very fun. And my very, very favorite song is On the Street Where You Live. I love that song. So lots of great things. Of course, Rain in Spain and I Could Have Danced All Night. I mean, you just cannot go wrong with classic My Fair Lady. Now, this next album is one that I've never seen this on stage, but it is an Andrew Lloyd Webber. And my mom saw it when she was in college in London and said that she wasn't the biggest fan because it was very different than other Andrew Lloyd Webber things. But I have listened to this several times now, and I have to say I personally really like the music. It's different, and I would like to see it on stage. This is Starlight Express, of course, Andrew Lloyd Webber with the lyrics by Richard Stalloge. This is fantastic. Again, one that is a great Andrew Lloyd Webber classic, and it's worth picking up if you ever see it. I have not seen very many copies of these. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, but I would be on the lookout for this if you love musical theater. And of course, this is the original Broadway cast. I love, one of my favorite songs is AC/DC on here. And then, of course, I love A Lot of Locomotion is a great, great song. But tons of other ones on here that are just fantastic. And I would love to do a more deep dive into each individual record. I still have a big pile to go. This, of course, is South Pacific, Rodgers and Hammerstein. I've seen South Pacific many a time on stage, and I just think it's fantastic every time. The music is wonderful. My favorite song, of course, is I'm Gonna Wash That Man Right Out of My Hair. It is fun, and there's so many others. You just can't go wrong with this. I love Happy Talk, Springtime, Honey Bun. I mean, the list just goes on and on. This is really, really fantastic. The music is, of course, Rodgers and Hammerstein. And I was going to say that this is on RCA Victor label. And this is just wonderful. So, South Pacific, love it. Now, this is Evita, and of course, I love Evita. This is Andrew Lloyd Webber, which we all know. Evita is so wonderful, and Eva Peron had a really interesting life. You can study her. I've done a lot of research on her, and she's just kind of fascinating. I've been to Buenos Aires. I've seen the Casa Rosada, the Pink House, and it's just so cool, her story. So I really love this musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber and, of course, Tim Rice. Now, I want to mention this is the Evita album jacket that is not as collectible as the other one that I will show later. This one is not as valuable, so if you are out there collecting and you want to start a collection and you don't want to pay like the $20 that other people are asking for the fancier album jacket, you can get this one. And if you're a reseller, just be on the lookout that this one may not sell as well, just simply because I think of the cover. I don't really think that there's a difference. It's still the original Broadway cast. It's just different in the design. And this one's still, of course, wonderful. One of my favorite songs from this is Money, 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 I think is the name of the song, but The Money Came Rolling In is really great. Of course, I love Don't Cry For Me, Argentina, and Waltz for Eva and Shay. I mean, She's a Diamond. I mean, this is just, Andrew Lloyd Webber is just phenomenal. So I love Evita. I have not seen that on stage, but I would love to. It would be so awesome. Now, I have several Oklahomas because I keep getting gifted records, which I love. And this Oklahoma here is Rodgers and Hammerstein, but it's got a few other songs, I believe, on this. So this is a compilation album. But of course, it's got Oh, What a Beautiful Morning and Kansas City and Oklahoma and just other great classics on this as well. There's also the International Award Series. It's got other artists here like Ray Charles and Leonard and Lowe, My Fair Lady, Rodgers and Hammerstein, South Pacific. So they do have that advertisement on the back for other show tunes and things that they have done. But this is really, really, really good. And of course, I think everybody's seen Oklahoma and probably did it in high school because that's just one that people do a lot along with Godspell and a few others. Now, I also have Guys and Dolls. I love Guys and Dolls. This is the original Broadway cast. It's Furr and Martin present Frank Loesser's Guys and Dolls. I'm so terrible with people's names, but this is really wonderful. Now, I don't believe that this is the original Broadway cast, but it is really a great record nonetheless. I love A Bushel and a Peck, of course. I've never been in love before. Luck Be My Lady is my absolute favorite song from Guys and Dolls. So this is definitely one to add to your list if you love Broadway. Definitely get Guys and Dolls. I also have the very famed Man of La Mancha, which is featured now on several TV shows. If you watch Grace and Frankie on Netflix, there's a whole little series that they did featuring some songs from Man of La Mancha, and I love this original cast here. This is the best musical of 1966, Man of La Mancha. The music is by Mitch Leigh and the lyrics by Joe Darian. And I think this is just a classic to have in your collection. Of course, Don Quixote, Man of La Mancha is a wonderful song. Love, love, love that. Of course, everybody knows The Impossible Dream, which has to be one of my favorites from Man of La Mancha. Great song, great record. Highly, highly recommend. And this is not a double gatefold, it's just a single. Now, my grandparents always listened to Brigadoon growing up, and I listened to it and fell in love with it. I've been looking for the full musical on vinyl, but you just don't see it very often. And so I have this great little musical version here that's got some snippets from the show, and I love this. This is Brigadoon with Gene Kelly and Van Johnson, and who remembers CinemaScope? This is selections recorded directly from the soundtrack of MGM's color musical in CinemaScope, and of course it's got Once in the Highlands, Down on McConaughey Square, Heather on the Hill, which is a phenomenal song, and then one of my favorites is Waitin' for My Dearie, and that song is so hilarious. If you have not heard that, you've got to go listen to it. It is a song about this lady waiting for her wedding. She's on her wedding day and she's waiting for her husband to show up to the wedding. And in the meantime, he was so late that everybody starts getting drunk off of the whiskey. And it's just hilarious. It's such a fun song. So I love Brigadoon, very classic, and it's so fun to have this CinemaScope version here with, of course, Gene Kelly. Now I've got another My Fair Lady. Now this My Fair Lady is not the movie version. This is the original Broadway cast, of course, by Linner and Lowe's. Love My Fair Lady, so I'll just show this one. I have several versions, just because if I find one version, I'll go ahead and pick it up, like if it's the movie version, and then I'll get the Broadway version, because I do really like original Broadway casts. And then, of course, another famous one that a lot of people do in high school and just enjoy in general is Showboat. Showboat is a classic. I've never seen this one on stage. I would love to. I'd love to see that in Man of La Mancha as well at some point. Hopefully it comes here. The music are by Jerome Aaron, and the lyrics are by Oscar Hammerstein II and P.G. Wodehouse. And this is a Showboat. It is the, I believe, yes, original Broadway cast. This is wonderful. And so some of my favorite songs is Can't Help Lovin' That Man and Why Do I Love You and After the Ball. There's just so many good songs on Showboat. Well, guys, of course the camera cut out on me. I've been chattering away too long about some of these Broadway musicals. I've got a few more left to go, so I'm going to go through them lightning round fashion so that we can make this video a little shorter. I should have done 2 parts, but I felt like it would be better just to have everything in one video for you guys. So as the camera cut out, I was about to show the musical Hair, which of course is very classic. This is an RCA Dynagroove record. And I love this. Of course, you can't go wrong. Now, I believe, yes, Diane Keaton was in this, and she's on this recording. And I love, love, love Walking in Space and Initials. And, of course, Hair's very, very famous and just a classic song from the musical Hair. So, love Hair. This is fantastic. The book and lyrics were by Jerome Regine and James Rado, and the music was by Galt MacDermott, which again, I'm so bad with people's names. I just cannot pronounce it to save my life. Now, this next record is one that you don't see a lot, and this is by Irving Berlin. And if I remember correctly, I bought this because I just thought it was so different. When I looked this up when I was in the record store, because I had never actually heard of this musical, I think I remember reading that Irving Berlin wrote this a little while before he passed away, and this was not the biggest hit. It was a little bit of a flop, to be honest, but this is the Broadway cast of Mr. President, and if you're not into vinyl or not into music, how fabulous would this be in a 4th of July display? So you could do many things with this record, to be quite honest with you, but it is fun to have. I like these musicals that are a little bit lesser known. They're just interesting to have and to listen to the music. I don't think this will ever get a revival, but it is fun. This is the original Broadway cast. Music and lyrics, of course, by Irving Berlin. Book by Howard Lindsay and Russell Course. And there's, let's see, Jack Washburn's in this and Stanley Groover and so many others. But this has got some great graphics on the inside. It is a double gatefold. And lots of great things on this Mr. President record. So definitely something that I would be on the lookout for. And if you haven't heard it, it's worth a listen. It really is. And of course, this next record holds a very special place in my heart because I was props master for this show. In college, I did Fiddler on the Roof. And this is the original Broadway cast, of course, of Fiddler on the Roof. It is Broadway's longest running musical, according to the jacket cover, but I don't think that's true anymore. I'll have to look this up, but I believe Phantom of the Opera and Cats are up there for one of the longest running Broadway musicals. So I'm going to have to double check, and I'll put that in the notes of this video so you guys can see that. It's really fun to look all that stuff up and see the stats on the musicals. That's just great. So this is Harold Prince presents Fiddler on the Roof. The book is by Joseph Stein, and the music is by Jerry Bach, and the lyrics is by Sheldon Harnick. Of course, it's based on the, oh boy, I can't read that, but I used to know. It's based on stories, of course, written by someone, and I can't read the name on the back of this or remember, but I'll put it in the notes. Of course, one of my favorite songs off of this is I Love To Life. To Life, To Life, L'Heim. I love that. And then, of course, If I Were a Rich Man, and Matchmaker, and Sunrise, Sunset, and Anna Tefka. I mean, you know, everything is just fantastic. When you love Broadway, there's almost very little music from Broadway that you don't care for. I mean, I'm not the biggest Wiz fan, but for most parts of shows that I've seen, I pretty much almost like everything, and I love Fiddler on the Roof, and it will always be extra special because doing props for that show was a whole lot of fun. Now, this next album also is extra special to our family because it is Cats by Andrew Lloyd Webber, which is a phenomenal musical. Love Cats. And for all of you guys out there that have been watching the movie version and you don't understand it, and I've seen so many comments about people saying, what in the heck did I just watch? I can't believe I wasted my time. Really go back and watch a Broadway recording if you can online somewhere and really listen to the music because it is so, so good. Most of the people that are confused don't understand that this was based off of a book by T.S. Eliot. Yes, T.S. Eliot. It's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. And T.S. Eliot wrote this book about cats in his neighborhood, and he named each of the cats because each of the cats reminded him of a person because they had such people-like personalities. And so the musical is kind of about that, about cats being like people too, and each of the cats has a story. Each one has a story, a life, and history behind it, and it reminds you of people in your own life, and it's just very, very good. So do your research, go back and rewatch it, and I promise you'll see it in a different light. I love the musical Cats by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Of course, our family loves this because my mom saw it in college when she studied in London overseas, and she took my grandparents to see it, and they thought they had really bad seats because this was before Andrew Lloyd Webber was a famous musical writer as he is now. Back then, this was his first, big debut, and it was in the section of London that was a warehouse district. So he had converted this warehouse to be set for the musical Cats. And when they got into the theater, there was just this big black wall, and they thought, oh my gosh, we've got the worst seats in the world. And then, of course, the stage revolved and literally did a 360, and they were able to see just the most amazing show because they were like third row from the front, and the cats came down the aisle and brushed their tails on you. And I've gotten to see Cats maybe 4 or 5 times now, and it will always be a phenomenal show every time I see it. One of my favorite songs is Gus the Theater Cat. I love that song. And of course, Memories is extra special because that was my grandfather's favorite song, but now I get a little choked up listening to it, so I can't really do Memories anymore like I used to, but I love, love, love Cats, so definitely give it another try. This is the London cast recording, which is great. It's a double gatefold. It's got all this great photographs from the musical inside, and it's got 2 LPs. Also, the next record I'm going to show is one that I think is fun. I watched this as a kid, of course, growing up. I think we all did. This is Oliver, and you don't see this one a lot either. I mean, when I'm out there looking for show tunes, I never see this. But this is on RCA. This is Oliver. I have to say the cover is very interesting. It's not what I would imagine. This is Lionel Bart and David Merrick, and that's the music and lyrics, of course, and book are by Lionel Bart. This is just really fun because this is the original Broadway cast, and you've got this gatefold here with all this wonderful photos of the cast, and you can read about everybody, which I love doing while I'm listening. One of my favorite songs, I think, because Oliver just has so many good songs, I think, but Food, Glorious Food, the opening scene is just really, really great. And then, of course, Who Will It Buy, I think is fun. That's a great song. So, love Oliver, and if you can get that, that's really fantastic. I've got another Oklahoma here. This is Rodgers and Hammerstein and Western Favorite. So, it's a compilation album with other things, so I won't spend too much time on this. I really like this, but I have so many Oklahomas because people keep giving them to me, which I think is great. So maybe one of them will be gifted to a sweet subscriber at some point or another. Now, of course, I've got another musical I know all of you guys are going to like because this is The Music Man, original Broadway cast. I think the graphics on the front are really, really fun. Of course, this has some phenomenal songs. I love Pick a Little, Talk a Little, and I love Goodnight Ladies, and I love Linda Rose, and Gary and Deanna, Until There Was You. I mean, the Music Man just, again, hit after hit after hit. The book, music, and lyrics are by Meredith Willson. The story is also by Meredith Willson and Franklin Lacey. And you've got the double gatefold here with the really cool graphics on the inside. This is just a single LP, but it's really phenomenal. Highly recommend The Music Man. Great show. Another great show is The Sound of Music. Now, when I was in Austria, I got to see the inspiration for the last scene in the movie Sound of Music when they were filming that scene where they are in the cemetery. I saw the real cemetery that it was inspired by. I didn't have time to go to the place where they did 16 going on 17 because that was way far away from where I was, and I didn't get a chance to see that. But if you are ever in Austria, you can take a Sound of Music tour and get to see the hills are alive. But I love The Sound of Music. This is a great double LP. It's the original Broadway cast. This does not, of course, feature Julie Andrews. That's the movie version, but you can get the movie version if you would like. Of course, I love My Favorite Things because my mom used to sing that to me all the time growing up. And Do Re Mi and 16 going on 17. And I mean, you know, everything that's on Sound of Music is fantastic. I just love this. So Sound of Music, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Highly recommend. Of course, the music is by Richard and Hammerstein. Jeez Louise. The music is by Richard Rodgers, and the lyrics are by Oscar Hammerstein. So Rodgers and Hammerstein. Holy moly, I got to get it together. I'm trying to speed round this, and it's not going very well. The last 3 albums I'm going to show are really fun. Of course, I, again, love Andrew Lloyd Webber. This is Jesus Christ Superstar. I have gotten a chance to see Jesus Christ Superstar on stage. It is absolutely phenomenal. Great double gatefold here. I love, love, love the version that I believe NBC did last year. It was phenomenal. If you have a chance to watch that, it's really good. And I love, of course, Heaven on Their Minds, and King Herod's song is really good. Superstar is fantastic. Could We Start Again? Please. I mean, there is just so much great music in Jesus Christ Superstar. I love this. And my mom let us, of course, watch the movie when it came out. And, of course, when it came out, originally, my mom was young, and there was so much controversy around the movie. And it's neat that I think my grandparents let my mom watch that. I think that's kind of neat. I'm glad that she got to see that. And we've always loved Jesus Christ Superstar. Evita and Jesus Christ Superstar and Cats. We had the tape cassette in my mom's car, and we would rotate those tape cassettes all the time. Love, love, love. And of course, this is Evita, and this is the one that I wanted to show because this one is worth a whole heck of a lot more money than the other one. I'm not talking gajillions of dollars. It's not rare. It's not some, you know, really old 45 that's worth, you know, $8,000. But this will command a little bit of a higher price tag because of the cover. This is Evita with the great graphics. This is the original Broadway cast. Of course, Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber. I love, as I've already mentioned, But When the Money Comes Rolling In, or Money, I don't know what the official title is, and Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. Great graphics on the back. And then you've got the double LP with the gatefold and lots of great art on the inside. So highly recommend looking for that. And then the last musical I'm going to show is in honor of Vintage Vinny, because I know he likes his pinups, and this has a little bit of a saucy lady on the front. And this is Damn Yankees. It's the original Broadway cast. It is so much fun to listen to. I love this so much. And there are so many, many good songs on this. Of course, what I love is The Game. I think that's a fantastic song. I love Goodbye Old Girl and A Little Brains, A Little Talent. I mean, there's just so many good songs on Damn Yankees. If you haven't heard it, I definitely recommend listening to it on RCA Victor, original Broadway cast. The Of course, it always advertises new musical, because at the time it was. It's based on the novel The Year the Yankees Lost the Pennant, of course, by Douglas Wallop. And let's see, the book is by George Abbott and Douglas Wallop, and the music and lyrics are by Richard Adler and Jerry Ross. So I'll feature this up close on my YouTube, on my Instagram at some point or another. You'll get to hear a few of these show tunes. Well, guys, that is it for me. I hope this video wasn't too terribly long, but I hope you'll learn something along the way. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite musical is. I can't wait to hear from you. And I hope all of my theater nerds enjoyed seeing this along with me. And if you are looking for vinyl, good luck. Hope you get some really fun show tunes. I know Misty at Thrifter Junker Vintage Hunter puts a lot of them on while she's packing orders. I love her Instagram stories when she shares her vinyl. It just makes me so happy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That is all I have for you all today, but I will be back next week with a true What's Spinning video. So this is a special edition of my vinyl collection, but I will go back to What's Spinning next Friday and we'll do some Christmas music. So I hope to see you then, and don't forget, I will be doing my Christmas reading series with some really fun books coming up this Monday. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys will, of course, as always, stay in, stay safe, and binge YouTube. Bye-bye now.
That's why I go for that rock and roll music any old way.